welcome to the first episode of the As I Know It Violet Fog, or rather Violet Fog As I Know It podcast. So I called it that because it's really everything that we talk about is just going to be from very much my point of view. We're going to be very, very candid. And I just hope that this is really fun, really valuable for you. I really look at this as like I'm just talking to my best friend. You know, when you're talking to your own best friend about your experiences and things that you've researched, like that's kind of the approach that I'm going to take here. So, first off, I want you to know that just a little something about me and like my style with talking and all that. I'm a lot more eloquent with my words when I'm writing. So when I speak, I feel like I can kind of trip over words sometimes and I get really excited and yada yada yada. So just know that I'm also like very ADD. So if I'm jumping from topic to topic, it's just kind of like that's just me naturally in conversation. This is going to be very streams of consciousness style. I do have some notes here in case I get like super off track, but for the most part, just know like that's how I am. I couldn't be any other way and do this. Okay, so the topic that we're first going to cover is skincare, and I'm going to give you my very neurotic, very specific opinions on skincare and having your best skincare or having your best skin just in general. So I think it's really important, first off, to talk about where you come from with your bias on any subject that you talk on. Like, I think every single time I come on here, I need to tell you what my bias is and like just what my own framework is at looking at this. Number one, I think it's important to like know where I come from with my skin. I am 33, which I still think is very, very, very young. You know, like it's going to be so different your skincare in your 30s, 40s, 50s, all of that. So just know I'm coming from the place of a 33-year-old woman, and I'm white. I'm a white woman, so keep that in mind too. Like that's the type of skin that I have. I am not acne prone. I once was. Between the ages of 11 to 15, I had horrible acne. I no longer don't anymore, so just know that that's something that I don't worry about too much. I do try and study it here and there because I mean, I do have a lot of people who write me about acne issues, but just know like for the most part I have pretty clear skin. I'd say I have combination skin. And okay, so let's get into it. You also know I am not a doctor. I have absolutely no desire to pursue credentials because I just feel that it would restrict me in my pursuit of knowledge. I really like to get my knowledge from all different types of experts, books, research, you know, asking the collective. Like I pull people and get thousands of people's opinions all the time. Like that is my way of gathering knowledge. So I feel like if I was to be credentialed, I would be sometimes I think I would like limit myself a little bit, but also no. So I'm not a doctor. This really is just from the consumer point of view, which I think is an awesome point of view. It makes it down to earth. It makes it easier to talk about. And I really do just want to keep this fun. I think that wellness can be super stuffy, and it's just like it's not going to be like that here. So all right, let's just hop right into it. Some of these things you're also going to be like, that's pretty obvious, but maybe it really hasn't stuck with you. Like you just need to hear it in a specific way, and maybe this will help. But okay, number one, if you want your best skin, you have to be really great about SPF. It's just like one of those things where it's not like you put on SPF once a day. So people always tell me like I have really good skin, and I think that's a really nice compliment. I work really hard at it, and one of the number one things that I do not skimp on sunscreen. Trust me when I say there is never a moment where my skin does not have sunscreen on when I am outside in the sun. Perhaps I might go for a walk and leave like my arms exposed to the sun with no sunscreen just so I can get some vitamin D, because that's also really important. But I am always wearing SPF. I want to talk about the realities of this. Another thing too, like when we talk about skincare here, is I want you to know that it's like there's no such thing as a free lunch. Like to really have like your best skin, I kind of hope that you notice that it's like you almost have to ask, like, is it really worth it? Because you actually have to pivot a lot to really, really, really get your best skin. The good thing is a lot of these things are free. SPF is not one of them though. So the realities of being someone who is putting on your SPF all the time, and you have to commit to this if you really, like, you have to know that so much damage to the skin comes from sun. That is the number one cause of aging, is getting too much sun. And so you need to like realize it. That's nothing that you can put on the wayside. Like if you want to protect your skin against the sun, you have to be wearing your sunscreen. That means you need to structure your life in a way where you make time to reapply. And let's say like you can't make time to reapply, or also this comes with a lot of privilege, right? Because sunscreen can be really, really expensive. So maybe you're like, I actually can't afford to be someone who reapplies all the time. Can you structure your day in a way where maybe you're not out in the sun or like next to a window between the hours of say 12 to 4, or some skin experts would say 10 to 2. Try and make it so that like you're not always in front of a window then. Try and find like little things that you can do. But I really do think like reapplying is just the way to go. You don't have to spend a ton of money on sunscreen. I think it is so ridiculous, these luxury sunscreen brands, how much they are charging. Sometimes, yeah, the formula can be so, so, so good, and I get that, but I really think like your average drugstore sunscreen can be really great. And also, you need to figure out like, do you do better with chemical or do you do better with mineral? I do better with mineral, and that's titanium dioxide or zinc oxide. And the reason why I do better with that is that I tend to have a little bit more sensitive skin because I use retinoids, and we'll get into that after. But so chemical sunscreen is just going to irritate me. Mineral sunscreen works a lot better for me. It's a lot more gentle. I know that there's that camp that like spits on chemical sunscreens all the time. But I think that right now that is not an argument that we can have, because I think that SPF, especially in mineral SPF world, it's super like closed off and really only caters towards lighter skin tones. And I don't think that that's fair. And also, if you really do talk to dermatologists and look at studies, chemical and mineral are about the exact same when it comes to sun protection. So figure out which one works for you. Be willing to just be that girl that's always willing to put it on, and if you can make room in your budget to always be able to buy your sunscreen, like do it. I just think that is so, so, so worth it. I would way rather be reapplying SPF all the time than buying super expensive skincare products. So I think that's number one. Number two, I really believe this one. If you want to have the best skin, you need to work on your stress levels. Think about this. How often do you see someone that comes back from a vacation, or they're doing really great in life and they just look so bright and happy and good? And you're just like, dang, like, whatever you're doing, it's totally working. And a lot of times they're actually not doing anything different to their skin, but they have actively been in their parasympathetic way more often. That's your rest and digest. That is so, so important. I really do think that a part of having great skin for life is making sure that you have these moments of getting into your parasympathetic. We like to think that that just has to do with our insides, our minds, but I'm telling you right now, there is something to it with your skin. You need to be as relaxed as possible throughout the day. You can still be energetic, still get your shit done, but you have to find these moments to be pretty low stress, and that's really, really going to help your skin. On the contrary, how often are you like so stressed out, things are going bad, your perspective is maybe not like really helping you out, and your skin isn't looking that great? I can tell you this right now. My skin doesn't look my best when I am really, really stressed out. And when I'm happier and more relaxed in life, no matter what is going on, when I'm just much more calm, my skin looks so much better. So I'm telling you, like, get into that parasympathetic. It is going to help so, so much. Do it more often. Do not neglect that. All right. Another thing, exfoliation. I am not a fan of manual exfoliation. I think that it can cause minor tears in the skin that we don't see, microscopic tears that can cause infection. I think that oftentimes it's just too brutal on the skin. I really am a way bigger fan of chemical exfoliation. So what I use is retinoids. And retinoids is a whole other point on this that I wanted to talk about. But I think exfoliation is going to be really, really important. You're always wanting to slough off that dead layer on top of your skin. I don't think you ever want to overdo it, and I don't think you want to underdo it. And I think it has to do with like just listening to your skin barrier. If it starts to get too agitated, you're probably exfoliating too much. But I do think that those who are going to have an advantage later on in life with their skin's integrity are going to be people who are doing things like chemical exfoliation. Things like lactic acid, things like retinoids. Maybe every now and then you can bring out the big guns and go get a chemical peel. But of course, like you'd want like a really, really great trained professional doing that. But I do think chemical exfoliation over manual exfoliation, I also just think it's way, way, way more effective. All right, let's segue into retinoids. So I have used retinoids for 10 years now. I am a huge believer in retinoids. So it's, think of it like retinol, right? Like retinol, you can get that over the counter. It's something that it stimulates cellular turnover. As we get older, our cells don't turn over as quick. And retinoids, I just think, like, I want the big guns here. That's what I want. I really do think of retinol, like, I'm sorry to say it, but I think of that as like the little guns. It's not going to do as much. It'll still do something for sure, but retinoids are 20 times more powerful here. The brand that I use is Dear Brightly. Of course, like, I want to be super, super transparent. I do work with them. I pray to God that I continue to work with them. I think that they are the absolute best. But whether it's like them or someone else, it's so important to get in a retinoid, I think. I don't think it's for everyone, but I think, like, I really do think about like 95% of people can probably tolerate retinoids, but not everyone, right? And you just have to be willing to get through that hump. Retinoids are going to be turning over your skin like no other. Retinoids, I think, are so cost effective because it's going to be your exfoliator. It's going to be the thing that brightens your skin. It's going to be the thing that softens fine lines. It's going to be the thing that builds up collagen. And I know that people are like, oh, I worry about it thinning out my skin. No, there's so many studies that show it thickens skin. Retinoids, especially tretinoin, that has been studied for over 50 years now. It is incredible. It helps with acne. There's so much that it can do. It is just something that it's like the Swiss Army knife of skincare. And I just think that if you're not using retinoids, like, that's okay. Like, you don't have to, but I think, wow, you are really going to see some results from retinoids if you do it. You do have to get a prescription for it through that company. Like I said, Dear Brightly. This is not sponsored, by the way. I'm just speaking my truth of who I use. It's a pretty easy process. You start low and slow. That, I really feel like we could do an entire episode on retinoids because there's so much to it. Please dive into my information that I have on that. I have IGTVs, I have blog articles, because it's not, like, think about something so powerful. That's not just going to be something that you go into it willy-nilly. Like, that's something you do a lot of research before, but I'm just saying you're going to have a leg up if you use retinoids. All right, here's another thing that I think will help with your skin's longevity. And this is one of those things that I also kind of hope that you realize, like, dang, that's what it takes. Like, it's almost not worth it, Like, it's like, I say these things because it's free and they're tips and they're true, but I also realize that, like, on the flip side of it, it's like, man, but is it worth it? Like, again, that's just like another pivot in life that you're just sacrificing for skin. But nonetheless, like, I just wanted to say that. But okay, lessening impact. So primarily, like, let's say you are a runner or you're always jumping on a trampoline. I know rebounding is a really popular thing, or you're always doing like super hardcore HIIT workouts. You're always doing jump roping. Like, that is a lot of impact. And I do believe that that can sag your skin. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I do think over time that can sag your skin. I do not do any type of like jumping, like running, stuff like that. I'm just like and if I do, I'm really, really soft on my feet. So if you are a runner, I would say, and that's like your number one release, and like it's so important for you, I feel like it would do more harm than good for you to stop running. So keep running, but work on your posture, work on being really light on your feet. I think like the more that we can be like less impact, while also being mindful of like, yes, we do have to put stress on joints and bones to keep them strong, but like find that balance, because like constantly tugging at your skin, that it can make it sag over time. So that's just something to keep in mind. So like for me in my own life, I really do just try to keep my posture good, and I try to be really light on my feet. Oddly enough, I just know that there's a really big tie to skin with that. All right, let's talk about softening facial expressions. So the skin is like a piece of paper. Like, imagine a piece of paper and I learned this from my skin girl, Catherine at Skin Spirit. I freaking love her. I just love this analogy. If you have a crease in a piece of paper, and then, like, let's say you try and flatten out that paper, you could put it in a book, press it between a book for 100 years, pull that piece of paper out, and there will still be remnants of the fact that there was a crease in that paper. Once that crease is there, it is always there. So expression lines, like, that is a whole other ball game. Retinoids won't really help you as much with that. It can help soften lines. SPF, that's sun damage, that's something different. expression lines are its a whole entity. So if you want your best skin, and again, this is another thing where it's like, is it worth it? I don't know, because when I tell you this, you're going to be like, this is so neurotic. But I really do think that softening your facial expressions will help over time just maintain less wrinkles. And not that wrinkles are a bad thing. Trust me, they are not. Wisdom is great. We want to grow older. Um, but this is what I see. I see a lot of women like working out and they are scrunching their face when they're working out. Try and maintain a softer face. I also think that it's not even just a vain thing. I think like I've tried working out and like where it's really, really tough. And if I notice my face is scrunching, I will relax it right away. And I find that I actually go slower. I'm more graceful in my movement. I'm more mindful of my posture. Like I feel like keeping composure of my face actually does me really well beyond just my maintaining good skin. But another thing, like, so working out, I think that's just like a really big time when women are scrunching their face. Try to not scrunch it. Also, keep in mind, like, are you doing facial expressions for other people? Like, maybe you have people pleasing tendencies like I do, and you think that everyone deserves a smile or everyone deserves you to have this like super high emotion face, but maybe you don't really feel like that. You don't have to emote for everybody and everything. I have trained myself, and again, this is very neurotic. I've trained myself to not move my forehead. I don't move my forehead. I really, and like, to be fair, I look at like myself as a kid and videos and stuff, and I like never really seem to have a very full of emotion forehead. So maybe it was easier for me to really train myself to do that. But I'm not very expressive in my forehead. And I really think that has kept wrinkles away in that area. If you are someone who wears mascara and you are putting on your mascara the old fashioned way with like opening your mouth and raising your eyebrows super high, that is going to cause wrinkles eventually over time in your forehead. So, and think about it, you're holding that for like 30, 60 seconds. Like that's a significant facial hold. I only tilt my head back and I do it very gracefully with my mascara. And so I think that if you can learn to do that, that's going to help you out. We could also talk about Botox and that. Like, I'm definitely not anti-Botox. I've gotten it 3 times. I've only gotten it in my crow's feet area and between my eyes, the 11s, and that's because I squint a lot. I do not foresee myself ever being able to not squint. It's just like I do it all the time. So, every now and then I'll get a little Botox to help with that area, but I never go overboard. I'm also a very, very big smiler, and I just don't foresee myself ever, softening that. So, so crow's feet is always a bit of a concern for me, no matter what I do. Of course, those expression lines will be there, so I sometimes will use a little bit of Botox there, but not too often. So yeah, softening facial expressions, that's something that you can do, and that is something that is free. Okay, so plant oils, let's just touch on this like really, really briefly. I think oils are a key to youth. I think knowing like if you do better with oleic or linoleic acids are the best. You can write that down. Oleic tends to be really, really great for skin's longevity, dry skin. Linoleic is better for acne prone. I tend to like a blend of the two, but I do find that like when it really comes to moisturizing my skin, it's the oleic ones that are going to be doing do really well for me. But however, I'm not acne prone. Okay. Then let's also talk about circulation and being gentle with your skin. I think this makes such a difference. I am always touching my skin. If you see me, at my gym sauna or like we're hanging out, oftentimes I'm touching my face with clean hands, of course, but I touch my skin in such a loving way. Even the skin on my body, I feel like it really just brings this energy to it, this longevity energy. I'm always thinking about circulation. I'm always kind of like tapping on my skin, draining out the lymph. I'm always doing things like that, and it makes such a difference. I really think that is a key to having super healthy skin, and I feel like you're going to have a leg up if you learn how to do some facial massage and some neck massage, and that you do that often. I am not kidding you. I do it every day, if not multiple times a day. I am always just touching my skin in a really, really loving way. And you might be like, well, I don't have time. And I would argue that you actually do have time because you're likely already doing a skincare thing. You take a shower, right? When you wash your face in the shower, wash your face in a way that's kind of like a facial massage. Like, don't get that over with quick. Like, do that like really like nicely and with love and really work on your lymph system. When I put on sunscreen, the way that it gets rubbed in so well is that I am working on facial massage. I'm really caring about circulation when I'm doing it. You know, I'm like touching myself in a way that's super intentional. I'm not just like vigorously rubbing in sunscreen. So there is a lot of moments that you can take to do that. I also think if you're ever like feeling sluggish, just go into the bathroom and do some quick facial manipulation. You'll come out feeling a whole lot better. I also think you need to be mindful of how you touch your skin when you're doing your makeup, when you're putting on anything, when you're taking off mascara, washing your face. Do not vigorously tug at your skin. Treat your skin so nicely. Like you should not be pulling, tugging. Like that's not going to help you out. Always, always, always treat your skin super, super nice. So those would be some top tips I have. I do have other tips, of course, but I'm trying to keep this short. I just want it to be fun, easy, and I will end with this. When it comes to figuring out what works for you, just know, like, number one, I do think get your advice from people who are skin obsessed, people who are either experts in the field. I also do think, like, I don't want to say that women in their 20s don't have something to offer when it comes to skincare, especially those women who have dealt with acne and overcame it. Of course they have something to say, but I will say when it comes to like keeping your skin longevity and like integrity just vital and rosy, plump, all of that, I think it's easy to do. It's easier to do in your 20s. It's harder to do in your 30s and beyond. So I like to listen to women who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s about skincare because, you're not as much of a spring chicken when it comes to skin, and it's harder to do. So I think like they are the ones who I want to listen to, like who are the ones who are successful with that. And I will say, like, I have seen women in their 30s and 40s who sometimes appear to have even better skin than some women in their 20s, So it really it's just the work that you put into it, and also just having fun with it. I think another thing too, a last thing that I kind of want to end on, it's a little bit silly, but I remember once hearing Britney Spears talk in a interview about like work that she had done, and she was like, no, I haven't had any work done. She's like, I have done fun stuff. And they were like, what do you mean by fun stuff? She's like I've done like chemical peels and Botox and lip fillers. Like I've just done fun stuff. And I really liked her approach to skin because I think that's the way that we should be. I think we just need to, like, at the end of the day, have a lot of fun with it and just love ourselves and be just like really easy, but also, protect our wallets, know what we can get away with just, know what we can get away with free choices, right? Like not sitting out in the sun for hours and hours and hours and instead choosing to do something else. Like that's free. Touching your skin in a loving way, that's free. But just have a lot of fun with it. So those are my tips. Let me know what you think. If you want to talk about this, I am always down to talk. DM. I love, love, love DM. I am at the Violet Fog. And before I go, I do want to tell you who my sponsor is, and that is MSW Nutrition and Mitochondriac. You've seen this on my stories. I know you have seen this on my stories. Oh my gosh, this is the absolute best. So this is something that helps with stress hormones. It helps with energy. Mitochondria, that is the powerhouse of your cell. This actually ties into skin. And this is why, because this helps your DNA. Strong DNA, strong skin. This is the mitochondriac. It's pterostilbene. It's trans resveratrol. It even has quercetin in it, which is a cofactor that makes it work even better. You are not going to find this at Whole Foods, all right? This is like real biohacking shit. This is so strong, so good. I love, love, love this product. I've used it for a long time. It is metabolism support. Again, it helps with stress hormones. If your insulin goes haywire, that can cause damage and inflammation to your mitochondria. It's going to help with that. You really only need 1 capsule a day for DNA support. The resveratrol really just helps the body get rid of waste, and this is incredible. It's one of those things, I know it can be pricey, so even if it's something that you can't take all the time, I look at it as like a true booster. Like just get a bottle and give yourself a boost. If you can do it all the time, great, but I do understand that, some things can be expensive, but man, this is effective for energy. You just feel really good. Anything that strengthens DNA strengthens your skin, so definitely check them out. The How Do You Health podcast network, that's what I'm on. They are the absolute best. They have so many talented creators, so just check out what they have going on. Thank you so much for listening. I cannot wait for next time.